In this video, let me show you how to deploy the Dokploy on your VPS, which is a open source self-hostable alternative to Vessel, Heroku, and Netlify. So, using this Dokploy, you can deploy your publication database and hundreds of other services. If you head out to the documentation, here in the documentation, you can see that Dokploy is an open source alternative to Heroku, Vessel, and Netlify. Why choose Dokploy, which is flexible, simplicity, and open source? So setting up Dokploy is really easy. So you just have to need a server. So using the server, you can just deploy the Dokploy and then you can deploy any services. Either it can be front-end, back-end, database, anything. So to do this, we need a server, right, to deploy this Dokploy. So that's why the sponsor of this video is MivoCloud. They are providing their cloud services since 2015 and they have the VPS which is €6 per month and they have the cloud services as well. And they have the dedicated server which is €39 per month and they have the web hosting which is €5 per month with unlimited domain and SQL. All of this with data protection and 24 customer support. So if you select the annual plan, you will get the 2 months for free. You only paid for 10 months. So since they are the sponsor of this video, so I have a server with them. So let me go to my server. You can say this is server. So what I will do is I will first SSH into this. And let me open up the command prompt and type SSH and the username is root. So let me type authorate and paste the IP address here. So first I will connect to my server here, then I will show you how to deploy. Consider now I have successfully connected to the VPS. So inside this VPS, let's first upgrade all the packages now. So before that, if you want to see the free space, you can type free-s. You consider I'm using the 4GB VPS, and if you want to see the CPU configuration, you can type ls CPU consider. I'm using the 2-core CPU and 64-bit architecture, and let's update the packages now. So apt update, it will update all the packages that we need for this tutorial. So once the packages has been updated, then we good to go, we can upgrade them. So apt upgrade, here you can see all the packages is being upgraded. Now all the packages has been updated and upgraded. So once it is done, then what you can do is let me clear the screen and let me go to the documentation page now. If you head over to the Dokploy documentation, here what you need to do is you need to copy this installation command over here. To do that, before that, we need to have the Docker installed in our VPS. To do that, just type apt install docker.io, which will install the Docker in our VPS. Let me press Y over here to install the Docker engine. So it is installing the Docker engine for us. Now the Docker engine has been successfully installed. So we'll have to enable it. To enable it, let me clear the screen and let me type system control enable docker.io. So which will enable the Docker engine for us. Now let's also start now. So system control start Docker, which will start the Docker services. Now if you type docker ---- version, if you get any output similar to this, that means the Docker has been successfully installed. So once the Docker has been installed, we can install the Docker Compose as well. So apt install Docker Compose, which will install the Docker Compose in our VPS. Now the Docker Compose is also installed. So once everything is installed, Docker and Docker Compose, you can go to the documentation page and copy that installation command. Here you can see is the installation command, curl command. So we'll have to copy this and paste it here and press enter, which will install the Dokploy in our VPS. So basically it will install all the dependencies it needs for it to run. So which will take some time to progress depending on your server speed. You can see that now the Dokploy has been successfully installed. You can access this via the URL that is provided here. Since we install this Dokploy for the first time, it is asking us to set up the server. Here we need to enter the first name, last name, email address. You consider the open source alternative to Netlify, Vessel, and Heroku. Let me enter all the details here. So this will be the root user. So make sure you remember the email ID and the password. Now I have successfully logged into the Dokploy. So you consider this the dashboard. Here on the left hand side, we have all the tabs over here. I will explain them one by one. First, we have the projects here. So using the project section, we can create the projects, and then we have the settings over here. So if you head over to the profile, you consider under the profile section, you can change your name, email ID, and password. And if you head over to the web server, you consider it will show you the domain. If you want to connect any domain to this Dokploy instead of the static IP address, you can connect your domain names here. So this is how you add the domain name here under the web server. Then you have the SSH keys. So you don't need to have the SSH keys, but if you have the tech savvy, you can add the SSH keys over here. the first thing you want to do is adding the GitHub repository over to this. If you head over to the Git, you consider we need to connect our Git to this Dokploy. So for that, there are many Git providers there, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. You can choose any one of them. I'm gonna choose the GitHub. So I'm gonna click on create GitHub app. So let me click on create GitHub app. Let me change the name now. So I'm gonna give Dokploy testing, and let me create this app now. So I think the name is already taken. Let me change the name to something else. Now we have added this app over here. Then we need to install now. Here we have the install button. Then just click on that. So let me select the account now. So which will ask us to install, either you want to install on all repositories or you want to install only on select repositories. I'm going to install on all the repositories. But if you want to install this on a specific repository, you can also choose that. But I will use all the install repositories now. Since this is my secondary GitHub account only, if I want to delete this GitHub account, I can easily delete that. So no worries for me. But for you, it is mandatory to select only specific repository. So once you have done that, then we good to go. So first, I will show you how to deploy the frontend. So I'm gonna pick any frontend application like Next.js, React.js, or Vue.js. Then I will show you how to deploy the databases. Then I will show you how to deploy the any services, that is browser-based, OpenCloud. There are many services there in this Dokploy. I will explore that as well. So to do that, just head over to the home page. You consider currently we don't have any projects. First, we need to create the projects. So to do that, just click on create project and let's enter a name for our project now. In this case, I'm gonna give something like the to-do app now. So because I want to deploy the to-do app. So if you want to add the tags, you can also create a tag and add it here. So once you have kind the name, you can click on create project. Now we have the project, right? We can add our services, either front-end, back-end, database, anything. So I'm going to click on create service. Since it is an application, I'm going to select the application. But database also there, PostgreSQL, Redis database, MongoDB, MariaDB, MySQL, all the database there. And also template. I have mentioned right many services there. You consider we have the browser base, we have the Blender, we have many services here, browserless as well. So yeah, I will explore this later part of this video. But first, let's select the application now. So let me select the application. So let's give a name for our application. I'm going to select the front end. I'm going to click on create. So now we have the front end service. So let me go inside the front end service. So you consider this the dashboard. Here we need to configure now. Here we have the deploy button, which used to deploy the application, and we have the reload button. We have the rebuild, which allows to rebuild, and we have the start the application button. And we can also open the terminal directly there, and you can also set up the environment variables over here, and you can also add the domains over here, and you can see all the deployments over here. You can select the preview deployment to change the port number if you want, and you have the schedules. Using this, you can set up the cron jobs, and we have the logs, patches, and everything there. So you can see you can create a schedule as well, but which we will deal with this later. We have the logs as well. Currently, we don't have any containers, so no logs. So let me go to general. So let me select the GitHub account. Here we have the created the app, right? GitHub app. So that is Dokploy testing test. So then you can select the repository. So make sure you connected your GitHub account over here on the Git section. So then only it will be visible. So let me go to projects and let me go to front-end services, and let me select this Dokploy, and let me select the repository. I'm gonna select the React.js. I will show you how to deploy the React.js. Then we need to select the branch. Currently only one branch there, master branch. Then trigger type on push. So this is it, and make sure you click on the save button. This is very important. Then you need to select the build type. So make sure you select the next packs. So that is the default one for React.js. Then you need to enter this publish directory. So for React.js, it will be either this distribution, or it will be build a folder. So make sure you select the appropriate folder here. I will show you what this means. You consider this is my React project. So let me open up the terminal now. So when I build this, it will create a new folder called the dist folder. So that is the folder name that we'll have to enter there. You consider the npm run build. It is building the project files for us. You consider here we have a new folder called the dist. So this is the folder name that you need to enter over here. For you, if it is creating something folder like build, you need to enter the build folder name here. For me, it is creating the dist folder. So that's why I'm entering dist over here, and then click on save. So this is it. And then you can click on deploy now. So let me click on confirm now. and that's it. You don't have to do anything. So you consider your deployment has been started. You can click on view to see what is happening behind the scene. Currently it is cloning our repository, then it will install all the dependencies that you need for this project. You can see that it is running the command npm run start. Now the Docker build has been successfully completed. So to access this application, we need to enter the domain name. So here you can see we have the domain, right? So to add the domain, we need to know which port number that it is running. So before that, if you want to have a URL, you can use the generate domain. But if you have a domain name, you can also add this over here. So now I'm using the generate domain over here. Then the container port. We need to know which port number that this application is running on. To do that, open up your VPS terminal. Here you can see this is my VPS. So here inside this VPS, just type docker ps-a, which will show you all the containers that is being run. You consider to app frontend, and it is running on the port number 80. So what we need to do is we need to head over to this domain page and type the container port 80 here. So that's it. And then click on add a domain. So if you want to enable the HTTPS, which for this you need to provide the certificate provider. So you consider certificate required. So I'm gonna select let's encrypt. So and click on create now. And you consider we got this URL over here. Let me select the URL and open this in the new tab. So let me continue to the URL. And yeah, we got the React application over here. So this is how you deploy a front-end app on Dokploy. How easy it is. You didn't do anything much, right? So you can also validate the DNS. You can say now the DNS is being validated. The only problem is that you need to add the domain to get the secure HTTPS. So let me make sure that this to-do list is being worked. So you can see that I can able to add the task. So let me add another task. So once the task has been completed, I can remove the task as well. So this is a basic to-do app that is built using the React.js. Now I have shown you how to deploy the front end, right? So let me show you how to create the database as well. So for that, let's go to the projects now. You consider we have one project here, to-do app, and inside it we have one service that is front end, which we basically created using React.js. So let me click on create service. This time I want to select the database. In this case, I'm going to select the PostgreSQL. You can give a name for your PostgreSQL. I'm going to say backend. So to-do app backend. And then you can enter the database name. So the database name will be to-do. You can leave the database default database. And you can also change the password if you want. So let me change the password now. Or I will use this default database and copy the password somewhere else safely. Here you can see we have the front end as well as the backend. So let me go to the backend now. So make sure you have the password saved somewhere safely. So let me go inside now. So we need to deploy this now. So here you can see we have the password and we have the internal port number and we have the internal connection URL and the external credential. It is running on the port number 5432. So first we need to deploy now. Once you deploy, you need to access, right? We need to set up the external credentials as well. So in order to make the database reachable through the internet, you must set a port and ensure that that port is not be used by another application or database. So let me enter the port number now. So I'm going to say 4001 and click on save now, which will give us the external URL. We have the internal connection URL. Now we will get the external connection URL. This is the internal connection URL. Here you can say we have a extra string here, that is external force. So using this we can connect now. So let me open up the DB viewer now. So which is a universal database manager. So using this you can connect any database, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, MySQL. So this is the default page. So let me select database. I'm going to select new database connection. I'm going to select the PostgreSQL and click on next now. Here, since we got the URL, right, what I will do is I will use this URL now. So we need to modify this URL in a bit because since this is a JDBC connection, right, we'll have to change the URL. And username is PostgreSQL and the password is here. So let me copy the password and paste it here and click on finish. So we will get a error because we'll have to modify something in the URL. So it is asking us to download all the drivers. So let me click on download now. So we got this invalid JDBC URL I mentioned, right? So without you modifying that URL, you will get this error. So I will show you how to modify this URL. So you need to follow this procedure now. So let me right click and select edit connection. So since this is a JDBC connection, right, what you need to do is you need to have the prefix JDBC. So just type JDBC prefix and colon. So this is the database name. And then you don't need the username and password because we are already passing this individually, right? Username, password. Then you need to have the server, that is the IP address. Then you need to have the port number and the database name. We consider we are already passing username and password. We don't have to again pass it in the JDBC URL. So this is the correct procedure. So once you have done that, click on OK now. This time we will get the database connection successful. So if you get this invalid value for parameter, again this is not database error, this is error from the DB viewer. I will show you how to fix this as well. Actually, to fix that, if you open up the window and go to preferences, and here you have your option called the user interface, and under the user interface we have your option called the time zone, which is currently being set to default. So we'll have to change now. So we'll have to change to something that is closer, nearer to you. So for me it is Asia Kolkata. So let me select that one and click on apply and close. Now you can test the connection also. Let me select that one. So you can see now it is loading and we got the database, and one database that we have is Turu, and under the Turu we have the schemas. Under the public we have no data tables. If you want to create a new table, you can also create now. So since this is a deployment video, I won't focus much on this database. You can explore this database option further. So you can create table later on using this create table option. So for now I'm going to skip this. Now I have shown you how to create the front end as well as the database, right? Now let's focus on the templates now. There are many templates there on Dokploy, right? So let's explore the templates now. So further, let me go to projects. So inside the project we have two services, a backend and front end. So let's add a new service called the template. So I'm going to add the browser base. So using the browser base, you can automate the all the browser related thing. That is basically you can do automation. That is a browser base. I think browser base alternative also here, that is browserless. So I'm gonna select the browserless now. So I'm gonna click on create. I'm gonna add this browserless. So let me open this up. Here you can see it has been created successfully. What we need to do is we can connect to this browserless using our Python script now. So first, this browserless token is coming from this environment variable over here. You consider we have the browserless course as well as the browserless token over here. So the URL that we will use is this browserless to host now. So once you have done that, just click on deploy now. You consider now it is running. So let me click on view now. It is downloading the browserless image for us. Once it is done, we can good to go. We can test using our Python script. Now the deployment has been successful. You consider it is good to go. It is done. So what I will do is I will go to the URL domains. We consider we have the URL over here. So using this URL, you can actually do all the web automations. Basically, instead of you having the browser, it will give you the online browser, which you can use to do all the operations. So basically, when you use your own browser, the websites may give you as a bot. But using this browserless, you won't get that much. You can say we don't have the get request on the URL. So this URL will get the method not found, right? What you can do is you can test by having the pressure URL. You consider it is working perfectly fine. Where are missing authentication? You can pass the token as well. So question mark token equal to, you need to pass your token. You can get the token from the environment. Here you can see I have the token here. Let me copy this token and paste the token over and press enter. You can see that now we got the processor here. That is we are using the 2-core CPU and it is available, and the max queue is done, and it will give you all the configurations over there. So now we have checked that browser base is working perfectly fine, right? We can also use the Python script to test now. So you consider this the URL that I will pass over here. So now this will act as our browser. So basically what I have done is I have done a simple Python script that we go to google.com and fetches a page title now. Let me run this Python script now. So instead of this HTTP, we need to provide WS. So let me run the Python script again now. You can see that it returns the page title, that is Google. So yeah, this is how you deploy on your VPS and deploy all the services, that is front-end databases and templates. So again, the sponsor of this video is the MivoCloud. I will provide the link in the description. You can check that out. So this is for this video, and I will continue in the next one.